2021.
Oh, Lord. What's up, y'all? Jay.
Meka.
Hey, so we are doing a recap of the Netflix kind of documentary. Well, it is a documentary, being Eddie. Watched this last night. It came out November 12th. And I thought this was really, 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 really good.
Yeah. I stayed up for it.
Yeah, it got a little long towards the end, but I thought it was really good overall. It focused more on his upbringing. It got into whilst he was in the industry, but more or less why he ended up becoming the star he did.
Yeah, and I feel like we got to see more of who Eddie Murphy as a person is.
Yeah.
Not so much the character Eddie Murphy. And I think also he touched on that in the documentary or whatever you want to call it, about how even his laugh.
Yeah.
Because I picked up on that because I was like, why is he laughing like that? That's not how Eddie Murphy laughs, right? Like he has that weird laugh that he used to do.
Mhm.
And he was talking about how he decided to change that too because it became more of a, what did he say? What was the exact word he said? It was kind of,
It became a thing.
yeah, it was like a character as opposed to like,
Yeah,
inauthentic is what he was trying to get point to. But I thought it was really good. It wasn't on my list of to-dos for my life to watch an Eddie Murphy documentary, but I'm glad I did. It was really good.
Yeah, it was. And it like a lot of comedians, like it had Dave Chappelle in it, Kevin Hart was in it, Jerry Springer was in it, and some producers that he had worked with, and Tracy Morgan also. But one thing a lot of comedians say is they always say when they're in the room with Eddie, that Eddie's always the funniest one. And that's just natural. And you can kind of see that in this, him just talking, just being himself, which he doesn't really, you don't get to really see him do a little bit more now. Side note, this man is 60 something years old.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's in his 40s. It's crazy, you know what I mean? And he talks about how he, didn't drink or do anything until he was like 30 pretty much. Side note, another character in this documentary was his goddamn house. My God.
That's a beautiful house.
He was like, oh, it's cold in here. Let me close the roof.
Yeah, we were like, what? You got a drop top on your house?
Yeah, and like not that little iced tea thing that Iced Tea got. I'm talking about he has a like damn near castle. And so
it was dope.
It was dope.
What I liked about it was, like you mentioned, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock.
Yeah, Chris Rock too.
The way that they like, the term fangirl, but fan guide over him, like it was like the respect that they have for him, and they're also still very much fans. And you could tell, like, even just the way the conversation would go, it was like they were the kids and he was the dad and he was in there talking and they're all listening. And that was such an interesting thing to see because this is Dave Chappelle and that we're talking about, And
speaking of that, something really interesting I noticed was when he was talking, he said it, which I wondered how Dave felt when this came up and thing. He said there's Richard Pryor and then there's Dave Chappelle. He didn't put himself next to that. Mm-hmm. He put Dave there, which shows he's Eddie Murphy, pretty much the biggest leader of all time. You can say Kevin Hart, but no, that's not the case. It's Eddie Murphy. And for him to say Richard Pryor, who, if you're in that realm of comedy, especially if you're around the sea, you really hold Richard Pryor as the GOAT. And he put Dave there, which says a lot about Eddie and Dave, honestly. Mm-hmm. The respect that they have for each other. But no, I thought this really fun. They stayed away from the controversy.
They did.
They stay clear of that.
He doesn't have that much.
He does. He has. It depends on how you frame it. He does have. I won't even say it, but he did have a little incident happen, and he does have the fact of the multiple children with the multiple women, that type of thing. But he's a star, and that does tend to happen or whatever. He talked about his movies flopping a little bit. But interesting, they kind of show that even though he had movies flopping, he still has super big movies, the Nutty Professors, the Shreks, things like that. So I thought that overall it was really dope. And I thought personally it was really kind of touching, showing the stuff and how he talked about his brother, Charlie. And it's good to just see Charlie because Charlie came on with his stardom later in life, but seeing Charlie it was, and you got some of this comedy from you see when that because it was Charlie and Eddie, and then they have a brother from the mother's marriage after the father had passed away and everything. So you kind of got to see like that's why Charlie was so funny. You see where Eddie got it from. So
what did you think about like what he was saying about Red Fox and a few of the, Rick James about him basically having to help bury them because they didn't have anything. And that's what I'll say about this. He kept it really real about a lot of things. Like when he was speaking about certain people and things like that. I mean, I feel like he was pretty unfiltered when he was speaking. He wasn't disrespectful, but he just kind of told the truth, and that was one of the things which I thought was interesting, especially like a Rick James, you would think he had, a million stashed away or something like that when he died, but like, no.
Well, that speaks to how, and even to this now, back then they really got screwed out of their money.
They did.
Somebody like Red Fox who came from like the 40s and stuff like that doing music. Rick James, yes, he was a huge star, but he wasn't. They weren't getting no sweet deals. They got their money in the moment. Most of it was advanced money, and and obviously, those disrespect, but Rick James did not strike me as somebody that's being particularly responsible with this. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that, again, Eddie, being from what we can see here, take care of Red Fox, take care of Rick James. You know what I'm saying? And through Eddie and through Charlie, you can see how much of a relationship that they have, however, it went or whatever. So I thought it just showed Eddie in a really, really, really good light. And he said one thing he addressed, doing stand-up again. And he said in a way like, oh, I can do it, but it's not I really feel like he's going to do one. I just have, I have a feeling like he has to mark that off his list to show people that he can still do it. So, but yeah, I thought this is one of it was really good to see.
It was good. Y'all should go check it out. Yeah, for sure.
Check it out on Netflix. Being Eddie, give it a watch. If you love comedy, like I love comedy. So I was pissed that I watched it yesterday night when it came out. So yeah. But hey, that's our review of Being Eddie. Check it out on Netflix. I'm Jey.
I'm Meka.
See y'all later.